Hello, it is August 12th and it is 2:52 a.m. The thing that I wanted to talk about right now is going to be Sohaib. Sohaib is one of the people in the family who have been with the adults throughout the entire time. Every family gathering, get together, funeral, Sohaib would always be present there. This means that the wedding crime that law enforcement wished to frame me for in the year 2023 after I won my case on August 25th, 2023, that wedding crime, I can guarantee that Sohaib would be present in it. Sohaib would be present in that wedding crime. Sohaib would hear about it. Sohaib would see it. Let's say Sohaib committed it with Uncle Joey. Uncle Joey would commit the wedding crime in front of Sohaib. After committing the wedding crime, Uncle Joey might move away, but Uncle Joey's mother would still be there. Uncle Joey's mother would talk about the wedding crime in front of Sohaib. He would hear it with his ears. Uncle Joey's mother would show the wedding crime. Sohaib would see with his eyes. Uncle Joey's mother would keep talking about it all day and night long, right before the wedding, and Sohaib would think about it in his mind and know exactly what was going on. Sohaib committed a heinous crime, which was the wedding crime. We know this for a fact due to the fact that in 2023, when law enforcement wanted to frame me for the wedding crime, what ended up happening was they were using severe mental torture drugs on me in order to tried to get me to jump off the cliff, basically. And while they were doing this, they were also using severe mental torture drugs on me every time a wedding would be mentioned. I remember at that time, I'd be laying in bed all day due to the severe amounts of mental torture that they were using on me for a crime that they confessed amongst themselves before trying to frame me, that they knew for a fact I had nothing to do with. Anyways, so what ended up happening was, the one time I got up from my mental torture, I opened up YouTube, and on YouTube, I saw a video of Kim Jong Un coming out of the train. He just looked like he was like, he looked like that, and President Putin was there, and President Putin was just like looking down, like, yeah, this sci-fi movie's over. The Brain Savant kid is dead. Not so. Brain Savant Kid was not dead. I put my phone down and I thought to myself, Brain Savant Kid is not dead. Law enforcement's dead. You got to remember the fact that in the year 2023, when they were trying to frame me for this wedding crime, law enforcement stubbornly ran their money fraud the entire year of 2023. In the November 2023 funeral, law enforcement stubbornly provided Uncle Joey with sex game ads, and the entire year of 2023, while running their money fraud, law enforcement were torturing me with stomach torture drugs while asking me to on YouTube, well, by putting Full House with Uncle Joey in there, that Uncle Joey's gonna call me and he's gonna pretend to be Uncle Joey to run his sex game ad on the phone with me. I said no, there's no way this is happening. There's no way I'm gonna pick up the phone. You got to remember, this is after July 1st, 2023. I come back home from Saudi Arabia since I went there because my Indian visa was taking too long. Well, in mid-May 2023, they did a brain savant test, finding out that my brain savant powers increase over time. Obviously, I'm either telling the truth, someone told me, or I'm psychic. Since I'm not psychic and no one told me about what the artificial intelligence report said, I have to be telling the truth, which is that my brain savant powers increase over time, and that's what the mid-May 2023 brain savant test showed from artificial intelligence, who's not going to lie for me. And I'm not psychic enough to predict the report unless if I was telling the truth. So basically, yes, law enforcement wanted help for Uncle Joey's sex schemes in November 2023. They wanted me to help by picking up the phone, talking to Uncle Joey, having him pretend to be nice Uncle Joey from Full House, and then law enforcement would record that and use that as an advertisement for Uncle Joey with all the women that were watching me after finding out about my brain savant, literally making me number one brain savant in the world. So what ended up happening was I said no over and over again. I'm being put under severe mental torture. On top of that, every single time they're putting me through stomach torture, every time they would ask me to help Uncle Joey out with his sex game ad. I was a child, and when you look at When you look at the conversation between me and my mother, the one that I had in Russia, you will find out the fact that when I was a child, Uncle Joey was caught with a online chat, very dirty one, due to which, after which time, my mother never had me adult supervised by Uncle Joey ever again. That was the last time. The facts and evidences will clearly prove that the last time I saw Uncle Joey was when I was a child, never again. So law enforcement tried to force me for me to go meet with Uncle Joey and help law enforcement out with sex scheme ads with Uncle Joey before the funeral by picking up the phone and talking to him. And I refused each and every time throughout the entire year of 2023. Now, you got to remember, this is the year 2023. So in the year 2019, Bushra Akhtar almost sat next to me and told me it was a crime that she knew about, that I stopped her and I said, look, I never knew about any crimes or anything bad occurring. Don't tell me right now. So basically, in the year 2023, law enforcement knew that they had things to investigate, but they couldn't care less. This is 4 years after Bushra Akhtar was almost about to tell me that. Yes, and law enforcement could not care less. In the entire year of 2023, law enforcement stubbornly ran their money fraud and their sex schemes for Uncle Joey at the November 2023 funeral. So the entire year of 2023, law enforcement also tortured me with not mental torture. Well, mental torture, obviously, to try to frame me for the wedding crime, but also law enforcement also, I'm sorry, this sofa just makes a lot of noise. Law enforcement also, except for the wedding crime, law enforcement also, use stomach torture. Every time the wedding would be mentioned around me, they would use severe mental torture on me. But except for that, law enforcement also use severe stomach torture on me every single time. They would ask me to help them out with Uncle Joey and his sex scheme ad for Uncle Joey, nice Uncle Joey from Full House, and I would say no each and every single time law enforcement would ask me, every single time throughout the year 2023. This was the year 2023. So basically, when they were using severe mental torture drugs on me every single time a wedding was mentioned around me, and I saw something like on YouTube, I saw Kim Jong-un looking very terrified coming out, and President Putin just looking down like, yes, the Brain Savant kid is dead and the sci-fi movie is over. I knew for a fact. I just put the YouTube down and I knew for a fact the sci-fi movie wasn't over. Brain Savant kid wasn't dead. Rain Man's still going to be alive, but it was law enforcement that was dead, because in the entire year of 2023, law enforcement were stubbornly running their money fraud and their sex scenes for people like Uncle Joey at the November 2023 funeral, letting me know that the wedding crime that they were trying to frame me for, they obviously confessed. Law enforcement confessed right before trying to frame me in 2023 that they knew that I had nothing to do with it, but that wedding crime, obviously, law enforcement's own BFFs committed, and that law enforcement obviously covered over, only to run money fraud and sex schemes with these individuals, just like how they were running throughout the year 2023 with the money fraud and the sex schemes, run very aggressively, very stubbornly, not caring in the least about the fact that there were foreign governments that were also watching this. So yeah, since they'd done this since 2001 with Uncle Joey's in-laws, there was no stopping. They couldn't stop. So basically, yes. So the wedding crime was something that law enforcement committed with their BFFs. It was due to their own BFFs committing it. They did not want to do an investigation since their BFFs would end up in prison big time. It was a heinous crime, by the way. We know this for a fact due to how in 2023 Kim Jong-un was looking like, oh my God, what is it, like something very serious, and President Putin was meeting him, and President Putin was just like, yeah, this Rain Man's dead. Rain Man's definitely dead. Well, Rain Man's not dead. It's law enforcement that are dead, because law enforcement committed this heinous crime. They covered it over to run sex schemes and money fraud with all their BFFs. So basically, yes. One thing I can guarantee from knowing all of these people and knowing about all the people in the family is the fact that Sohaib would definitely be present in the wedding crime. He would, let's say Uncle Joey committed it, Sohaib would commit it with Uncle Joey, after Uncle Joey would walk away, Sohaib would hear about it from Uncle Joey's mother all day, night long. Basically, Sohaib's grandma, Uncle Joey's mother would talk about it. Sohaib would hear it from his ears. Uncle Joey's mother would show the crime. Sohaib would see it with his eyes all day, night long. Uncle Joey's mother would talk about it, show the crime, and Sohaib would process it through his mind, and Sohaib would fully know about the crime. Now, this has to be compared to a child such as myself, who would be adult supervised by one of law enforcement's BFFs like Uncle Joey, who could have said something even remotely considered bad around me as a child. There's a big difference. You got to remember, there's a big difference between a crime and something being said around a child. A child, first of all, cannot report anything, but there are other things about the child, which is going to be me being adult supervised by someone like Uncle Joey. First of all, the first thing that we have to remember about the child is the fact that my mother was a single mother working in fast food restaurants like Popeyes and McDonald's. The other thing is, it's a known fact that I had problems being adult supervised. And my mother not being able to afford a daycare for me where I could be adult supervised by anyone willing to watch me for free, since no one watches someone for free. And so I had to be adult supervised by one of law enforcement's own BFFs like Uncle Joey. The only difference is, when I was an 11-year-old child, my mother had let law enforcement know that I would be adult supervised by one of law enforcement's own BFFs like Uncle Joey, but that this was only temporarily, and only until I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child. Never again throughout my entire life would I be in a setting where anything remotely considered bad could be said around me ever again, or any setting that would no longer be needed, since I would no longer be needed to be adult supervised after a certain age. And she said this when I was an 11-year-old child. The other thing fact that has to be considered is the fact that I was a member of PAL. So basically, PAL was like a daycare center. It was for children who had a mother who was very poor. She worked at a fast food restaurant, and she was a single mother. She could not afford daycare. PAL was basically designed for these kids, for them to go to the PAL center and be adult supervised by basically police officers. The application for my PAL membership will still be there. Basically, an index card that you filled out back then, when 27 years ago, when I was a 9-year-old child. Not only that, on the night of August the 11th at 7:30 p.m., when I was driving my car, I asked my mother, and I asked her if she remembered, and she said, yes, I remember the day I signed you up for a PAL. It was due to the fact that I did not have anyone to adult supervise you. I had to go over there, and I had to sign your membership over there, only due to the fact that there was no one that would adult supervise you, and so we had to get that membership for you. And my mother also lamented at the fact that in third world countries, these services are not provided for single mothers who are working at fast food restaurants, things of that sort nature. It would not be there. Whereas in the U.S., a single mother who is working at a fast food restaurant, who cannot afford a daycare center, has places like PAL that are run by police officers, basically, and you you fill out your application, which is going to be an index card. Which is going to be an index card, and then you make this you give this application in for the child, so that the child would have someone adult supervising the child when the mother is not there. Clearly proving from facts and evidences that my mother basically did put me in PAL. She did sign me up for PAL, and that it was due to the fact that she needed adult supervision for me, and that there wasn't always someone being able to adult supervise me, and that she wasn't always able to get me from school. She wasn't always there off from her work to be able to do that and help me out in that respect. So basically, we have numerous evidences proving beyond a reasonable doubt the fact that my mother had problems for me to be adult supervised. She had problems due to the fact that she was working. She was not always able to get off from work and be able to get me on time. She was working at fast food restaurants, and she did not always have someone to adult supervise me at all times. So there are numerous facts and evidences that will clearly and easily prove the fact that there was a problem for my single mother, where she did not have someone to adult supervise me. Not only this, you also have Randallstown. I was 12 years old. My mother would be forced to take off from work every single time I would get sick and be at home. She could not go to work due to the fact that she realized that she could not leave a 12-year-old child at home alone. Also proving from facts and evidences that this was also true, that until I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, she could not leave me at home alone. She was scared to do so, and on February 15th at 8:30 p.m., she said that it was due to the fact that she was scared that I might run out of the home alone due to being a 12-year-old child. Now, on August the 11th at 7:30 p.m., my mother said that she went and she signed me up for the PAL Center by filling out the application, and she said that the reason she did so was because she needed someone to adult supervise me for free, since they do not have these services in other countries for people to watch children. For free, whereas in the U.S. they do, and so yes, so that is why she signed me up with that membership at the PAL Center. So yes, this problem, it was definitely there. The facts and evidences will easily prove, not just from the PAL Center membership that we have, but also due to the fact that you also have Randallstown when I was a 12-year-old child, and how my mother was still scared to leave me at home alone, and then later on, till I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, she was scared to leave me at home alone. Clearly proving from facts and evidences. Now, this scenario where there's a single mother working at fast food restaurant, she does not have a husband, there's no one else for the child, and she has to leave the child behind with an adult who would be adult supervising the child, like Uncle Joey would be able to say something even remotely considered bad around the child that could be something said, not done, that is even remotely considered bad around the child, is not a crime, by the way. Whatever Uncle Joey could have said, or any of law enforcement's BFFs could have said, would not constitute a crime. At all. And the other thing is, it's a child. The other thing is, the child has already had permission from law enforcement from when I was an 11-year-old child, with a mother letting law enforcement know that it was only temporarily, daily, only until I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity. And then you also have other things like the PAL membership, which are basically designed for mothers who are single mothers working at fast food restaurants who have a child and they have absolutely nowhere else to put the child at, for the child being adult supervised for free, no daycare center that they could afford. So clearly proving from facts and evidences that this was an issue when I was a child for my mother working in fast food restaurants like Popeyes or McDonald's at that time. So this scenario where I'm being adult supervised by one of law enforcement's own BFFs like Uncle Joey, or any of law enforcement's other BFFs that they ran sex schemes and money fraud with, sex schemes starting in 2000 with Uncle Joey's in-laws, due to which they had to provide it for Uncle Joey as well. This is very different with the child being adult supervised by one of law enforcement's own BFFs. Only temporarily, daily, only until I gain the slightest bit of mental maturity, and that too only until I gain the slightest bit of mental maturity. Never again in any settings where anything remotely considered bad could have been even said around me. Not a crime, not constituting a crime. It is very different from someone like Sohaib, who as an adult knew about crimes, saw crimes, heard about crimes, and as an adult never reported a single crime. Now, let's imagine if I knew of a crime. A crime is something, a harm being done to a person, attempted to be done to a person, planned out to be done to a person. I knew about it as a child. Could I report it? No. Could Sohaib report it if he knew about a crime as an adult? Yes. Sohaib definitely could. Since Sohaib is an adult, he could report a crime. He has the mental acuity, ability to mentally process a crime. He knows good and bad environments. He's not a child who's not even mentally mature enough yet in the world. He could definitely process crimes. He could definitely process good and bad environments. Did he report anything? No. In fact, there was a crime known as a wedding crime. It was a very heinous crime that Sohaib was fully present in. He was a full witness to. He was fully involved in the crime with the person who committed the crime, and then he heard the person who committed the crime's mother, let's say Uncle Joey's mother, talk about the crime all day and night long in front of Sohaib, and Sohaib would hear it from his ears, see it from his eyes, and Sohaib yet did absolutely nothing about it. Instead, Sohaib spent the entire wedding roaming around with the person who committed the crime, like Uncle Joey, not caring in the least about the crime, clearly showing and proving from facts and evidence is the fact that Sohaib was fully complicit in the crime. He knew about the crime, he heard about it, he saw it, and then he agreed upon the crime, as in he agreed with the person who committed it, as in Uncle Joey. So Sohaib was basically complicit with Uncle Joey. He was happy that Uncle Joey committed the crime. How do we know this? Due to the fact that he was with Uncle Joey the entire time period when the crime, after the crime occurred. So the crime occurs, then Sohaib is present in the crime, okay, and then Sohaib, the person that Sohaib committed it with, like Uncle Joey kind of walks away to his room. Uncle Joey's mother's there. Sohaib is there, and Uncle Joey's mother tells Sohaib about it all day, night long, from morning till night, and Sohaib hears about it from in his ears. Uncle Joey's mother shows him the crime, and Sohaib sees it with his eyes, and Sohaib is fully then complicit in the crime. Excuse me. After being complicit in the crime, Sohaib does not even distance himself from the criminals in the wedding crime, which was a very heinous crime. You could tell from looking at Kim Jong-un and President Putin's face that this crime that I was being framed for, thankfully they told me about it, it was a very heinous crime. Sohaib does not move away from it. Instead, Sohaib does not distance himself with the people that committed the crime. Instead, the entire wedding, Sohaib, after knowing about the crime, after seeing the crime, after hearing about it all day, night long, not from only the person who committed it, let's say Uncle Joey, but also Uncle Joey's mother, making it unarguable that Sohaib fully knew about the wedding crime. Sohaib then spends the entire wedding with the person who committed the crime, let's say Uncle Joey, joking around with him, talking with him, going around everywhere with him. I bet if Uncle Joey used the bathroom, Sohaib would wait outside the bathroom for Uncle Joey to come out. This is the level of friendship that Sohaib had with the other adults in the family. This is the kind of BFF Sohaib was with the other adults in the family. Not only would they go everywhere together, not only would they meet with each other at every place, not only would they talk with each other at every place, Sohaib, not only would he be complicit in the crimes with these individuals, these adults who would be committing the crimes, Sohaib was such a suck up to these people that Sohaib would literally wait outside their rooms while they would go and use a room for, let's say, changing their clothes or something. Sohaib would literally wait outside their room like a bodyguard or something, is the level of sucking up that Sohaib would do with these criminal BFFs in the family. After he would commit the crime with these criminal BFFs in the family. Then, after sucking up to these criminal adults in the family that Sohaib complicitly committed the crime with right before the wedding, he would spend the entire wedding sucking up to these adults, waiting for them outside their rooms while they would go use their rooms, is the level of friendship Sohaib had with these adult BFFs in the family who could commit any crimes or do anything you remotely considered bad. And before Sohaib is complicit in the crime, he commits it with these adults who commit the crime with Sohaib. Okay, then Sohaib sucks up to these BFFs of Sohaib, whom he committed the crimes with. He was fully complicit in the crimes with. Right before the wedding, he sucks up to them throughout the entire wedding. He's waiting for them outside their rooms while they're using their rooms. He's walking ahead and behind them during the wedding. Everywhere they would go, so he would be talking to them all the entire wedding, not caring about the crime he just witnessed this person commit only a few hours before, not caring about it at all. And now, when the wedding is over, Sohaib never reports it. This is Sohaib as an adult compared to me as a child, where anything even remotely considered bad could have been said around me by, let's say, one of law enforcement's BFFs would not be something that I could report in the first place. Not because I was a child who couldn't report, but because there was no crime that was committed in front of me, whereas there was a crime that was committed in front of Sohaib. And the other fact is I was a child, Sohaib was an adult. The other fact is my mother had gotten permission from law enforcement, letting them know about my forced necessity, and that I would be adult supervised by one of law enforcement's own BFFs. But during the entire time, there was no crime that ever occurred. Only things that law enforcement's own BFFs like Uncle Joey could have said around me as a child, only due to the force and necessity of a single mother, only temporarily, daily, only until I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity. Not just my mother's words being shown to prove this point when I was an 11-year-old child, but also her actions of signing me up at the PAL Center only due to the fact that she realized that she would need this. She didn't have anyone to adult supervise me, and she would need this for as a fear daycare center for me, and that she also said in front of me on August the 11th at 7:30 p.m. in my car that she needed it, and that single mothers need it in this country for raising their children when the child is not even mentally mature enough yet in this world. Compare that with an excuse made to law enforcement, with me being put in a PAL center with other police officers to watch me, clearly showing from the facts and evidences, proving from facts and evidences the fact that it was a single mother's necessity and force, for shown and proven from her behavior and actions. And it just so happens that it was only things that could have been said around me as a child that one of law enforcement's own BFFs like Uncle Joey could have said around me, and nothing that no crimes, nothing of that sort of nature. Whereas Sohaib, as an adult, committed a crime. He was fully complicit in, and then after the crime was committed, he heard, like, let's say he committed it with Uncle Joey, he heard his mother talk about it all day, night long. He saw his mother show it to Sohaib all day, night long, and then we see Sohaib's actions after the crime that Sohaib committed in the wedding, where he's walking ahead and behind the person who committed the crime. Let's say Uncle Joey. Uncle Joey and Sohaib are such BFFs. I know these people. They're such BFFs. They're always present in every wedding, funeral, family get-together, everywhere, that when Uncle Joey would go use a room, Sohaib would go wait for Uncle Joey outside the room, waiting for Uncle Joey to finish up using the room and come out of the room. This is the level of BFF-ship Sohaib has with his criminal counterparts, with his criminal BFFs that he's fully complicit in the crimes with. And then after the wedding, you see Sohaib's actions in remaining BFFs with Uncle Joey, never reporting him, never telling law enforcement, never telling anyone about the crime that he committed with Uncle Joey, clearly proven from facts and evidences. Sohaib was fully complicit in this crime, something I have never committed throughout my entire life. And when I was being watched by one of law enforcement's own BFFs like Uncle Joey, it was never a crime. It was only something even remotely considered bad that could have been said around me, only due to the force and necessity of a single mother, only temporarily, daily, only until I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, and never again was I ever present in any settings with any of law enforcement's BFFs ever again. Whereas Sohaib, after the wedding crime, not only did he not report it, since he was basically involved in it himself, he wouldn't report it, since even during the wedding you would see exactly what kind of how complicit Sohaib was with these BFFs of his, that he would literally wait for them outside the room while they would use the room, is how he would literally commit the crimes with these individuals. So he's obviously not going to report himself, but the facts have to be taken into consideration. The fact that Sohaib committed the crime, and throughout the entire time when I was a child being adult supervised by one of law enforcement's own BFFs like Uncle Joey, no crime was committed. If anything was said, it was only remotely considered bad around me as a child. I could not report a crime, and children are not held liable under law until they gain the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, and my mother would never be present in any settings where anything remotely considered bad could have been said around me as a child. Not only taken from the fact that my mother was not obviously present in any of the settings ever when I was being adult supervised, but also due to the fact that I was a member of the PAL Center that my mother said on August the 11th at 7:30 p.m. in my car, where she clearly said that she had to sign me up due to the fact that single mothers need this in this country. Really nice accessibility that in third world countries, no free service such as daycare, where very nice police officers would watch your child for free till the mother would get off from work at fast food restaurants. Is not accessible in other third world countries. And yes, so it was due to the force and necessity of a single mother. Was I ever seen in any setting with law enforcement's BFFs ever again after I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child? No, I do not think so. Even if I was, it was they would never say something or commit a crime around me like how they would around Sohaib, because of the fact that they would know that Sohaib would be complicit in the crime, and Sohaib would agree to the crime. And even after the crime, Sohaib would be sucking up to these individuals, waiting for them outside their rooms, and then taking care of them by meeting them even after the weddings, and then never reporting a thing, since Sohaib would be involved in the crime itself. Now, that being compared to a child only temporarily daily being adult supervised, nothing, no crime being done, only things remotely considered bad said around the child, only temporarily daily, only until the child gains the slightest bit of mental maturity, is incomparable, especially considering the fact that as soon as I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, never was I ever seen in any settings where anything remotely considered bad was ever said around me ever again. And despite us not being tipped off, since my mother would have said something if she was tipped off, and it was law enforcement tipping everyone off that they ran sex games with Uncle Joey's in-laws since 2001, due to which they had to provide sex games for Uncle Joey, and money fraud that they ran for years and years, only stopped about 2 months ago. So basically, yes, it was law enforcement tipping everyone off. Now, the thing that you have to understand is the fact that Sohaib is going to make a lot of excuses like, oh, I just saw the crime, I didn't commit it. The first thing you have to remember is the fact that when I was being a child being adult supervised by one of law enforcement's own BFFs like Uncle Joey, there was no crime committed, only things that were remotely considered bad that could have been said. My mother would never be around me as a child, she'd be at work, and I'd be a member of the PAL Center, clearly proving from facts and evidence is the fact that obviously if my mother is walking all the way till the PAL Center and signing me up for a free service where very nice police officers are watching me for free as a daycare center, then obviously she needs that service as a single mother, a poor single mother, or else she's not going to go sign me up there for no reason, as she said herself on August the 11th at 7:30 p.m. So the thing that we have to really understand over here is the fact that yeah. So the thing that we have to really understand is the fact that it's incomparable. Children obviously cannot report anything in the first place, even if a crime was committed, but there was no crime committed around me. If there was, they would have used it by now instead of using all the false testimonies that they've used against me. And so even if something even remotely considered bad could have been said around me, it could not be something that I could have reported in the first place. Whereas Sohaib, as an adult, and also the fact that my mother had already gotten permission for me to be adult supervised by one of law enforcement's BFFs, citing her forced necessity as a single mother when I was an 11-year-old child, and signing me up at the PAL Center, clearly proving from facts and evidence is the fact that it was something that had to be done and used by my mother, who was a single mother, who due to her forced necessity at the time. Now, it's incomparable to Sohaib, someone who's committing a crime as an adult, whereas never crime, I was never even remotely present in a crime scene as a child, even remotely consider anything bad said around me would not constitute a crime in the first place. But Sohaib, as an adult, before the wedding, he committed a crime, he was complicit in it, he saw it, he heard it, and even after the crime was committed, the person who committed it, like Uncle Joey, his mother would have talked talked about it all day, night long as an adult. Sohaib never reported. Well, he was part of the crime, so he's obviously not going to report it. But you see his actions during the wedding, where he's standing ahead and behind the person who committed the crime with Sohaib throughout the entire wedding. And if the person would even go use a bathroom or a room, Sohaib would wait for that person outside the room. This is the level of BFF-ship Sohaib had with this criminal that he was complicit in the crime with completely. And then after the wedding, obviously Sohaib never reports it because he's not going to report himself. He was present there. He was hearing it. He was seeing it. He was committing it. He was hearing the other witnesses like Uncle Joey's mother. Let's say if Uncle Joey committed the crime, Uncle Joey's mother speak of it the entire time, and Sohaib would obviously become complicit in it. He's not going to report himself. So basically, yes. Afterwards, you have Sohaib now. Sohaib is going to claim all kinds of things. Oh, I just saw it. I just heard it. I didn't, it's not my fault. This Nazi guard at Holocaust, at a Nazi camp, Auschwitz, he only saw it and he only heard it. He was a guard. People were gassed to death. And this camp guard, 100 years old, by the way, he's going to use the excuse. He's going to say, oh, I only saw it. I only heard it. That's all. That's all. You saw someone and people being gassed to death. You heard about people that were gassing others to death. You witnessed this crime, this heinous crime. You saw someone whom was your BFF at that time. You met with this person whom was your BFF at that time. He murdered people right in front of you, and you know he was a murderer. You knew he was going to murder people. You did absolutely nothing about it. You think that's forgivable? You think this 100-year-old Nazi camp guard is forgivable? Oh, I just saw it. I just heard it. That's all. That is not a forgivable excuse. He saw people that were murderers. He met with people that were murderers, who murdered people in the most heinous way of gassing them to death. Do you think he's forgiven for watching other people, meeting with them, knowing that this person is going to go and gas someone to death? You think it's okay that this man met with, oh, I just met with him. I just talked to him. Did you know who he was? Yes. Did you know what he was going to do? Yes. Did you care? No. Why would you care? It's not your family who's been murdered. It's his family who's been murdered. This man, he brings his family picture and his portrait along with him. You can see the picture very clearly over here. You see a mother, a father, kids. Do you think it's okay? This man, the Nazi guard, met with people who were murdering people in the most heinous way by gassing them to death. Their entire families were gassed to death. He met with them. He knew what they were going to do. He did not care. He knew they were murderers. He knew their jobs was a murderer. He knew that they were not going out there to sell candy. He knew that they were not going out there to sell ice cream. He knew that they were going to go out there and murder people in the most heinous way possible by gassing them to death. Do you think it's okay that he met with them? Oh, I just met them. I was just the guard there. I just saw it and heard it. That's all. That's all? He met with these people who gassed, who murdered people in the most heinous way possible. He knew that the person he was meeting with was going over to go gas someone, murder someone in the most heinous way possible. He knew that this was about to occur, and yet he was meeting this person very nicely. He knew that this person was going to do something. He was hearing about this person, and he could not care less. He was hearing all the stories from outside the camp. As a camp guard, people are being murdered in there. And you're going and meeting the murderer whom you know is going to go and murder someone, and you couldn't care less. You're BFFs with that guy. You never reported him. I just heard about it from outside. I just saw it. That's all. That's not an excuse. Tell that to the family of the people, that person sitting in the wheelchair. Tell that to him. Tell him, I just heard about it. I just saw it. That's all. Tell him that it was okay for you to have witnessed a murderer, and you to have witnessed a person who was going to go and gas someone's entire family in the most heinous way possible. Go and tell this person that it was okay for you to have just witnessed it, for you to have just seen it and heard it. Tell that to this person. Tell him that you knew about the person who murdered his family. Tell him that you heard about the person who murdered his family. Tell him that it's okay that his family was murdered and you knew about it, Sohaib. You heard about it, Sohaib. You knew his family was going to get murdered and gassed to death, Sohaib. And you did nothing for his family member by reporting that individual. You were the Nazi camp guard, Sohaib. You committed the heinous wedding crime, Sohaib. You knew that someone's entire family was about to get gassed to death, Sohaib. You did absolutely nothing about it. You want to go tell that to the family of the people who've died because of you, because of your heinous crime? People like you, Sohaib, are the Nazi camp guard. You watch heinous crimes, you see them, you hear about them, you never report it. What do? The entire wedding, Sohaib, you are walking ahead and behind people like Uncle Joey who could have committed the crime. You're waiting outside their rooms. Did you not hear the crime being committed by Uncle Joey? Did you not hear his mother talk the entire day and night long about the crime being committed? Uncle Joey, whoever it was, you did. You heard about it, you saw it, you processed it with your mind. You are the Nazi camp guard, Sohaib, not me. I've never been in a crime setting my entire life, and no one was stupid enough to mention a single crime in front of me ever in my entire life after I gained the sinus mental maturity as a child. But even before then, no one mentioned a crime in front of me ever. I've never been in a crime scene, even as a child, ever. Never done anything bad my entire life. So he was fully complicit in the wedding crime. He was the Nazi camp guard right before the wedding. He was the person responsible for gassing innocent people's families, murdering them in the most heinous way possible, never reporting a single thing. Instead, throughout the entire wedding, the people that he was complicit in the crime with, so he would stand ahead and behind them after processing everything in their minds about what had happened. And then after the wedding, after sucking up to these people throughout the entire wedding, waiting for them outside their rooms while they would use their room, walking ahead and behind them to show that he was fully complicit and agreed with what they had both done together. Suhaib, after the wedding, would continue to suck up to these people, would continue to meet with them, could continue to know them very well, despite knowing about the crime. That was incredibly heinous. Suhaib knew about the crime. He heard the person who committed it, them talk about it. He heard their mother talk about it all day, night long. He saw it with his eyes being committed, and yet that heinous crime, Suhaib became a Nazi camp guard in. He met with people who gassed people. He could not care about the heinous crimes being committed. What is Suhaib going to tell their families that, I just heard it. I just saw it. That's all. What did you do after you heard it and you saw it? Did you report it? No. You spent the entire wedding walking ahead and behind that individual. You waited for them outside their rooms. You were such a suck up. And after that wedding, you were ahead and behind this person throughout their entire life, knowing about a crime, Sohaib, that you were complicit in, never reported. I've never been in a crime scene. I've never heard about a crime being committed. I've never been complicit in any crimes ever my entire life, even when I was a child. Even if Uncle Joey or any of law enforcement BFFs could have said anything even remotely considered bad around me as a child, it was only saying and not a crime. Thank you.